r/surviving infidelity stories. 20 years after D-Day, eventual reconciliation, and the long-term effects of reconciliation. I am not seeking advice. My script is written. The ink is dry. All I hope to accomplish with this post is to give the folks considering ours something to think about. For me, D-Day happens to coincide with 9/11. Shitty timing, right? My wife came clean that morning before all the terrible events of that day happened. We were so wrapped up in our own personal trauma we didn't even know what was happening in the world outside until late in the day. I did not see it coming. I had no idea. We'd had rough patches. We'd fought like two sworn enemies at times. We got past all of that somehow and were in a pretty good place when she told me. As most of you know, it felt like my heart was physically ripped from my body. She did not tell me out of any sense of shame or regret. She says she did, but I believe the reason was she thought she had a STD and was afraid I did too at that point. We didn't. I loved her. God knows I loved her without condition or reservation. I trusted her completely. That morning I woke up feeling lucky. That night I felt nothing. I was dead inside. I did not ask her to leave the house. I did not share her bed. I ignored her completely. I said not a word for. I don't even remember how long. We each lived alone together in a haunted house. She cried. She tried to talk. After shock came anger, hatred, just the worst kind of venom to poison my soul. I wanted her dead. I dreamed of it. She had not tears enough for what she had done to me. I realized later I was following the stages of grief check by check. I felt so worthless, unloved. Even my wife chose someone else over me. I entertained thoughts of suicide. I actually planned my disappearance where I would just vanish in such a way as to be presumed dead and start over again as someone else, somewhere else. Planning for this was actually pretty far along and ended up being a distracting mental exercise. In time I got past all this and found some way to talk to her and interact with her again. Eventually we reconciled. It has been 20 years. I am certain she never cheated again. She has done all she could to be the best wife she could be. But I'm not okay. It's bad luck that D-Day occurred on such a memorable day. It means I'll never forget it. It never gets lost in the obscurity of the 300-some-odd unremarkable days of every year. I still remember clearly how it felt. I still have the mind movies. The beautiful, special and unconditional love I had for her died that day. I've never gotten it back. What we have now is a shell of what it once was. The choices we both made, her for cheating, me for staying, are still between us years later. Our relationship is good where it was once great. Polite where it was once loving. It's stained. Tainted. 20 years of memories has not washed that away. Sometimes I still break down and cry like a child for what was lost. I never speak to her about this. Never will. She has done all she could to make amends. I accepted her back. It would be terribly unfair to her to continually punish her for sins I've told her I've forgiven. I have forgiven her. That did not put my broken heart back together. Reconciliation is possible. But you will never get back to where you were. It will always be there. You will never forget what they did to you. You will never forget how you felt that day. Every time you look into your spouse's eyes you will remember. If you choose to reconcile with your WS, I hope yours will be a success story. But I think you will find that even your success will not be all you hope. Maybe a clean break would have been better. Now for the top comments. Sadly, this why I vehemently recommend against R most of the time. There's circumstances under which reconciliation can lead to an actual reanimation of near mortally wounded marriage, but so rare as to be the exception that proves the rule. More often, couples end up with at least one of them a virtual zombie. Better to divorce and get away from each other. Start over with someone who does not make you wish you were dead every time you are triggered. This should be required reading for anyone who comes here asking if reconciliation is possible. Your story is sad, but unfortunately, too realistic. When a WS cheats, it destroys part of the BS. It destroys the trust of the marriage. It introduces poison into the relationship. It is possible to are, but as you found out, it takes a lot of work, and the relationship is never the same. The magic is gone, the WS is no longer the person that the BS married. It is a mistake to think the old relationship can be resurrected. It can't. It's dead, murdered by the infidelity. The best you can do in reconciliation is to establish a new relationship, and even that will be emotionally difficult. Mine cheated on me very early in our relationship. She didn't tell me until right before we got married. I chose to forgive and married her anyway. It bothered me terribly for a very long time. It took more than 20 years for me to get to the point where I rarely thought about it. I did tell her how it still bothered me, more than once, but that only made things worse for us. MC didn't help much either. Finally I reached a point where I felt safe again. After all this time, 28 years, of her being faithful, surely I could trust her. Nope. 6 months ago I discovered she has been having an affair for almost a year. Once a cheater, always a cheater and all that. There is no starting over for us this time. I salute your conviction and solidarity, bother. I know what you've been through and how hard it's been. I certainly hope you don't suffer my fate. Infidelity is the gift that keeps on giving. It destroys real love, it makes physical intimacy something dirty, it normalizes dishonesty, and it obliterates the possibility of a healthy family life. Relationships don't ever recover from infidelity. The relationship will mutate to accommodate what each partner is able to contribute to the partnership, but there will never be anything approaching the deep affection that brought you together in the beginning. You'll end up living lives of quiet desperation, wondering where that wonderful and deep reservoir of devotion and affection went to. I'd advise anyone to immediately divorce once the bonds that brought you together are fractured by either partner. That way the pain will be an unhappy memory instead of an agonizing permanent presence. Now for the next story. Just found out my wife has been cheating on me for 11 months. Advice. I am absolutely devastated. I've been with my wife now for 10 years. Married for 3. We have an amazing 8-year-old girl, and just had another baby. On my way home from picking up my daughter from her friend's pool party, my wife accidentally sent me a screenshot of her FaceTime with another man. I instantly recognized him. When I got home I confronted her, she explained it was a Instagram pocket dial and she instantly hung up out of embarrassment and took a screenshot in the process. This was all I debunked this. After questioning her, come to find out she was FaceTiming this guy, and fucked up by sending me that picture entirely. She's been talking with this guy, who is also married, for around 11 months. So I contacted his wife, and let her know my wife and her husband have been hiding their conversations from us. After talking more with his wife, she discovered he was getting a hotel room down the street from our house all the time. She pulled this info up on their Marriott Points account. I called him, and got him to come clean. He has been fucking my wife for months at a hotel during the day. My wife would drop off my daughter at school, go meet with him, then come home and act like nothing happened. I've since confronted her and she's trying to get me to stay. The worst part is, our newborn baby may not be mine. They have been having sex throughout her entire pregnancy. I got a paternity test today, and should know by Friday the outcome. I don't want to divorce my wife, but she has absolutely broken my heart, and ruined this family. My oldest daughter has no idea, and I don't plan on telling her so they can keep a healthy relationship. My wife has never cheated before. I treat her like a queen, we are happy and love our relationship. Or so I thought. If she had never sent me that screenshot by mistake, I'd have never known. The worst part is I have no idea why she would ruin our family and marriage. I give her my all, I work my ass off for her and the girls. I'm broken. Now for the top comments. You're on the right track. People who can live a double life from their family for months are very broken and not safe. Your wife's cheating is not your fault and has nothing to do with your actions. It's a product of her low morals. You will never truly recover if you try to stay with her. Besides, you can do better. You are also right to get the DNA tests. The only thing you can be certain of is that cheaters lie and they are good at it. Besides that, you have no idea. I understand protecting your daughter, but I wouldn't lie to her. If she is too young now, I would tell her in an age-appropriate way. This is much better than having your daughter doubt, and maybe worse, blame her father. The lesson will either be, her dad decided to leave for no reason, or her mom hurt her dad and he stood up for himself. I say the second is a much better life lesson. That is still her mom and they will have their own relationship, but that is really going to be on your ex anyway. Do not take responsibility for your marriage breaking up, that is your ex's doing. There is absolutely nothing honorable and noble about silently taking the blame with anyone, quite the opposite really. I know it doesn't feel like it, but it will get better, and the stronger you stand up for yourself, the quicker that will happen. Thank you. I've stood my ground. I've told her I'm never going to be with her again. I'm just devastated. She's been my best friend for 10 years. We do everything together. I literally love hanging out with her, and we have always had so much fun. I honestly wish I did something wrong, so I could put my mind to ease for why she did this. However, I've taken no responsibility for her actions. She agrees I did nothing wrong and she's apologizing every second. Bombarding me with calls and texts wanting us to work this out. But I know I'd slowly die staying with her. I'd constantly picture him with her. The person you loved, cared about, and trusted is now dead to you. Your relationship as you knew it is also dead to you. Everything you loved and cared about has changed, and not for the better. She willingly broke your family, she willingly broke your heart, she willingly broke your trust, she willingly broke you. If you still want her around, she's got a lot of work to do to fix everything she willingly broke, including you. Someone who inflicts pain from infidelity will never understand the pain. When I learned of my so's infidelity, the pain was crushing. I have never felt such severe pain. She was like, "Get over it already," 1 week after I found them together. She continued to trickle truth me, lie, and never really admitted the truth. It seemed like every week I learned more and the pain level ramped back up to unbearable. Finally I got really angry. I hired a polygrapher to test her and I was shocked at her truth. We only held hands and talked, sometimes kissed but no sex. Polygraph truth, 5+ guys, intercourse, oral and anal with all, numerous time with each AP, even in my house and my bed. When confronted with the test results, she didn't deny anything. She went to a lot of trouble to have her affair. Just for a little insight into what she probably did for her affair. She did so much for his relationship without thinking about you, your family, or the pain she would inflict when caught. She did all this with extreme forethought and planning. She groomed her AP. She set up a time and date to meet. She acquired the place for her and her AP to meet and fuck behind your back. She planned what to say to you if you asked about her day. She planned what lies she was going to tell you if you became suspicious. She planned what lies to say to you in order to trickle truth you to limit collateral damage to herself and her AP. When finally confronted with irrefutable evidence, she probably gave you limited information about her affair, forcing you to relive the pain of D-Day over and over again with each new D-Day. She did this each and every time she wanted to see and fuck her affair partner. Can you imagine what your relationship would be like if she put in that much time, planning and dedication to you and your relationship as she did to willingly destroy your relationship, willingly betray you, willingly lie to you, willingly destroy your trust in her and every other woman you might encounter? I'll just leave you with this: she placed you in this extremely uncomfortable and dangerous, STD, situation. She broke your trust, she broke your family, she broke you without even a second thought. You need to take care of you, physically, financially and legally. You used to be able to depend on her, but no more. Speak to an attorney pronto. You wouldn't want to suffer because you did something you didn't know you couldn't do. Get STD tests, stay tough and keep your guard up. Don't let her convince you to do something, anything, until you're 100% sure that's what you want to do. You have a long road to travel, but don't make any big changes now because you don't know what road you're now going to take: divorce, separation or reconciliation. PPLR here on Reddit to ask for help or questions. I'm sorry you've been forced into our group. We care and we are here for you. Now for the next story. A year and a half later and time marches on. It's been roughly 16 months since my world changed forever, and I thought I'd share an update for anyone else going through similar tough times. I know that when I was in the midst of my divorce, finding success stories was tough. Plenty of sad stories, but ones that gave me a bit of hope seem to be in short supply. I'm hoping that for anyone else here or on the web that is currently going through a divorce can read my story and think, hey, if that pudgy 40-year-old dork can come out okay, maybe I'll be okay too. In the immediate aftermath of the divorce, I realized I had a lot of work to do on myself. Mentally, I was beat up and so therapy was on the agenda. I started at Talkspace, and when my therapist quit Talkspace I followed her to her private practice. Therapy was very healing for me. It gave me a safe space to work out my feelings with a person that had no idea who I was. It was truly liberating. I'm no longer in day-to-day therapy, but I do keep in touch with my therapist when things arise. They do from time to time, and she's there to talk it through. Super helpful, would wholeheartedly recommend. My other form of therapy has been CrossFit. I don't think I'm a full-on member of the cult as some refer to it as, but it's been great. Really has helped to build up my mental strength. Also, it's a great workout that has gotten me into decent shape. Dad bod is on the way out. I've made a lot of friends at CrossFit and expanded my social circle a whole bunch. Speaking of friends, I actually ended up meeting my now girlfriend through CrossFit. I had no intention of dating for a while after the marriage. I'd dip my toe in the dating apps here and there, but hey, not for me. I met my lady through CrossFit and we just sort of hit it off. It's been great. I wasn't sure I'd really find anyone after the marriage, figured there wasn't much of a market for dad bod guy who tells bad jokes and likes Star Trek. Many told me that I was wrong, but I didn't believe them. Turns out, I was wrong. There's a whole bevy of new and interesting people out there to meet, and some of them may want to get into your pants. Just be sure to let the right ones in. The kids are doing okay. I think this has hit my daughter harder than it hit my son. When we sold the family home, she was quite angry and sad. There were a lot of tears. My son, he'll reference life pre-divorce a lot. He talks about the grocery store we used to go to as a family. Movie nights when we were all together. Happy memories like that. For my part, I've done what I can to make my apartment their home. They have their own bedrooms, and when they are with me during my custody weeks, we keep a routine up. Friday is pizza night with a movie, generally a creature feature or sci-fi movie. Tuesdays are Taco Tuesdays. I wake them up by being obnoxious dad and singing "Oh What a Beautiful Morning." We play video games together, we roughhouse, I make Sunday breakfast. When holidays roll around, I decorate the hell out of the place. I do my part to keep them happy, I hope. I know I'll never replicate the family we had, but I also don't want to because it was horribly broken. I just do my part to recreate the happy bits for them. I want them to know that this is their home, and it's a safe space. I never wanted them to have this kind of life of living with me half the time and the ex the other half, but I'm doing what I can to make it a good childhood. Finally, there's the ex. I spent a lot of time thinking about her and where it went wrong. Then one day, I thought about her less. And the next day, even less. That continued for a while. Now, I'm at that point where she has her life and I've got mine. We communicate well for the children's sake, but there's no friendship. I have my boundaries in place. Every now and then, she'll test them. But I resist and I don't take the bait. She gave up on us, and then did the one thing you never do in a marriage. She's a flawed human and I'm happy to not be in her orbit. I don't wish her any ill will though. I can't carry that around inside and expect to be happy and well adjusted. Holding on to hate and a grudge, it's just not sustainable for me. I simply let go. Sure, there are times where I still get those pangs of heartache, but they are short and I reason through them. Is my story a happy one? Yes and no. There are bits that are wonderfully happy, meeting new people, finding love again, building good memories with the kids. But there are bits that are very sad, for example, the time I cried in my son's bedroom after he and his sister had gone back to the exes over Christmas. I felt quite alone during that time and sometimes, I still do. I'll be driving to the grocery store and it'll hit me, wow, I'm divorced. Sometimes, it's still a surreal feeling. But I know that with every day that passes, I'm a little bit better and life gets a little bit better. For those of you in the same predicament, just keep putting one foot in front of the other. It's momentum, it's small at first, But as you keep moving, you keep building, and before you know it, you're running. It's okay to stumble because we all do. Just don't fall. Keep it moving. Now for the top comments. Great, you're doing okay, man. I didn't get the part about her testing your boundaries. Like she is annoying you and trying to make you angry? She may have issues. Congratulations on your progress. Took me 3 years to get where I wasn't hit with blinding rage when I saw my ex. 5 before we could speak. I just saw my daughter last night for the first time in a long time. That little 8-year-old girl is a beautiful bride of almost 30. Worth everything I ever endured. Keep your children close and good luck. Thanks for sharing your story. It gives me a hope. What you share seems very realistic in terms of setting expectations. I'm only 9 months out since D-Day, so I still have plenty of days I think of my STBXH. We are getting divorced and I've minimized contact. We share a child together, but he has no initiative of becoming the father I'd hope he would be. It's sad to hear my daughter say that she is used to her dad not calling. She sometimes says it's okay if he doesn't show up to see me. I suppose it's a good thing that she is accepting that, but just sad overall. I'm not angry as I was before. I just feel overwhelming sadness out of this whole thing. Anyway, I love what you said about CrossFit. I love it too, but with COVID and my pending divorce, and my decision to go back to grad school has left me with barely any free time. I miss my CrossFit tribe. Funny how you mentioned dad bod, but you know most women prefer that, right? I completely understand when you say that about your body because I struggled with the same thing now. Who wants a single mom with a young kid? I don't have the same tight body as I did when I first met my STBXH. Life took over and I became a parent. I love to lift weights, but I'm not in the same shape as I was before. I can't work out as much as I did. My life is just too crazy right now. Who wants to be with me now? I know it's all in my head and I am in therapy. Infidelity causes you to lose so much confidence in yourself. It's a struggle to get up. I know that I have a lot to offer as a person. I have good morals and can stand on my own. I have great career and I don't need to depend on a man to support me. It's just a cycle and often wonder when I'll feel normal and happy again. Anyway, thank you again for sharing. It really does give me hope. Maybe in another year or so, I'll feel more at peace and things start to look up. Reading all your posts today brought tears to my eyes. The heartbreak was so visible I could feel the pain in your heart. Reading your last post, I was delighted to hear how you're doing. Absolutely heartwarming. I've always said malignant narcissists make really bad parents and spouses, but you with your dad bod and all, I know you will find a true and lasting love. One with respect, commitment, and faithfulness. Thank you for the update, you made my day. Well, that's all for the video today. I hope you enjoyed it and as always have an amazing day.